Hi, my name is Michael Shelton, and I'm here to demonstrate on how to organize and manage a project. Any project, whether it be large or small, when managed properly, can and will be successful. Projects are just a natural part of life, and we seem to have a love-hate relationship with them. They are very overwhelming, and depending on the complexity, can certainly be very intimidating. In addition to that, we have a tendency to procrastinate, which leads to a lot of anxiety and stress. On a plus note though, when they are managed properly and successfully, there's a great sense of accomplishment. One way to assure that your successful project is to create a project plan. My purpose here is to show you that by creating and managing a project plan, you can and will be successful in your project and eliminate any frustrations that you've experienced in the past. I think there's a common misconception that projects have to be or are business related, and the reality is they're not. Project plans absolutely have their place in the home. They can be as simple or as complex as you want them to be. They can be as simple as writing a list of tasks on a piece of paper with an estimated need date and an associated cost, or they can be creating an elaborate project plan, if you will. Regardless of which method you choose to create and track your project plan, there's a couple of critical steps that need to be taken prior to even getting started. First and foremost, you need to determine what your project is and when you want to have it done. Also, any costs that are associated to it. Some examples of projects might be some home improvement project, putting a pool in your backyard, an addition to your house, creating an educational plan for yourself if you're going back to school. In my case, it happens to be selling my home. My wife and I decided when my daughter moved off to college last year that our house was just too big and it was time to move into something a little more simpler and easy to manage. We sat down together, we created a nice project plan, we divided the tasks amongst each other, we estimated the cost, and we ended up with a project that was about as less stressful as you can possibly get, that is, anytime you sell your home. So you've identified your project, and now you need to take a look at what resources that are going to be involved in completing that project. Resources could be a personnel, it could be you, it could be your spouse, it could be an outside service. Anything that you're going to use to help you start and complete that project, you want to list down on a piece of paper. In addition to that, if your project involves cost, you want to try and identify any costs that are going to be associated, again, with that personnel, with those people, or with those outside service. Another great thing to do is take a look at historical data. You might find from somebody that's done a similar project or do some research on the internet and find out some of the pitfalls that they've experienced in the past. That's really going to eliminate you from repeating those same pitfalls and making those same mistakes that they've made in the past. So you've identified your resources, you've identified any pitfalls, and you've identified any costs. You're ready to start populating your plan. The very first thing you want to do is take that plan and you want to divide it or break it down into small, much more manageable tasks. They want to be something that you can be accomplished easily. Keeping in mind, when you're creating this, you're going to be prioritizing these tasks. So you want to keep in mind items that might be predicated on a previous item. Probably a silly and more simple example might be you certainly wouldn't fill your pool with water prior to digging the hole. So you want to keep that in mind when you're getting ready to list your items. You've got your resources, you've got your costs involved, and you've got your tasks that are going to be involved to ultimately complete your plan. Now you want to decide which method or which tool you're going to use to create and manage your project. I'm partial to Microsoft Project. I think it's a very simple tool. It's not very elaborate, it's very easy to populate, and it tracks everything for you. Another good tool would be Microsoft Excel. If neither one of those sound appealing to you, you could even use a pad of paper and a pen. The bottom line is to get something formal on a piece of paper that you can track and you can manage on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis. Which brings us to the next step, and probably just as critical, maybe even more important than creating the plan, is you've got to get a process to manage your plan. You want to create something that you're going to be consistent with. If you're going to review it on a Monday, you want to review it on a Monday. You must be consistent. You don't have to review the whole plan. You really want to just take the tasks that were needed to be done prior to your review date and maybe the tasks that are going to be done after your review date before the next review. Identify those items, mark off the ones that you've completed, take a look at the items that are going to need to get done, make sure they're still on track. If they're not on track, you need to revise those dates and see how that's going to affect your overall plan. Another thing that you want to look at is cost. Are you on your cost targets? Do you need to revise those as well? plug everything in, take a look at your overall plan, see if everything's still on schedule, and see if it's still meeting your ultimate goal. In conclusion, project plans will make your project much more efficient, much more organized, but the bottom line is it's going to bring you a sense of peace and peace of mind that you're ultimately going to complete it on time. Thank you.